Are you ready to witness something truly chilling? In this video, we're breaking down some of the most haunting footage ever recorded, clips that simply shouldn't exist, yet they do.
All right, so I'm just gonna go. That was it again.
For the first time in history, an elite team of investigators was on the verge of uncovering a mystery that had haunted the world for decades. Using an advanced data algorithm, they had analyzed over 50 years of Bigfoot sightings. Armed with state-of-the-art technology, they ventured deep into the unforgiving Oregon wilderness, determined to prove once and for all that Bigfoot was real. The plan was simple but dangerous. Survivalist Russell Acord remained above the treetops, monitoring the area through the drone's thermal camera. Meanwhile, Ronnie LeBlanc and Dr. Maria Mayer had split up. Deep in the darkness, the forest had its own plans. A thick, suffocating silence settled in. No wind, no insects, no sounds at all. Then, out of nowhere, Maria's voice crackled through the radio. "Russ, I think something's watching me." And then, static. But because of the overwhelming feeling that she wasn't alone, a sudden snap of a branch sent a jolt of fear through her body. Massive shifting shape just beyond visibility. "Maria, I need you to move now," he said sharply. "Copy that," she whispered. Broke through the radio, tense and breathless. "Russell, I have multiple heat signatures. They're huge, and they're watching me." Russell's fingers flew over the controls, repositioning the drone for a better view, but the thick canopy blocked everything. "I can't see you from up here," he said. "What's going on?" A long pause, then, "I don't know. They're massive, and they're moving." Maria's voice shook slightly, erupted with noise. Heavy, deliberate movement circled them. Miria pressed her back against a tree, gripping the radio with shaking hands. "Ronnie, is that you?" she whispered. Was standing just a few yards ahead. A massive figure shifted in the darkness, barely visible through the thick brush. It wasn't moving toward her. It wasn't running away. It was watching. Then, a low, guttural sound rumbled through the forest. A deep, resonating growl. One that sent chills racing down her spine. She wasn't alone. Russell's hands were tight on the controls. He couldn't see her through the thick canopy. Then the thermal camera flickered. A heat signature. Then another. Then four. One by one, four massive figures turned upward, as if they knew they were being watched. And then, they disappeared. The team had come to find Bigfoot. But now, Bigfoot had found them. An explorer embarks on the journey of a lifetime, an expedition to uncover the truth behind the legendary Bigfoot. With each step into the dark and eerie forest, he can't shake the feeling that something is watching him. He's ready to face the unknown, determined to document the truth, but little does he know, he's about to get more than he bargained for. This isn't just any exploration. It's the Bigfoot, Sasquatch troop that's watching him now. It's an encounter like no other. He's about to face something far more dangerous than he ever expected. Got it. Here's a more suspenseful version with key dialogues integrated, keeping the tension high. The camcorder clicks on, and the creator immediately points it towards the dense fog outside. The air is thick with a sense of something lurking just beyond visibility. The unmistakable sounds of howling and eerie whooping can be heard in the distance. "I've been hearing this for hours now," he says, his voice filled with both uncertainty and intrigue. "It started late last night, and it hasn't stopped. What the hell is out there?" His camera zooms in on the trees, hoping to catch something on film. The rain drizzles down, but the atmosphere feels far heavier, like a storm isn't just in the sky, but in the woods as well. Something's wrong. Something's not right.
Okay, so today is April 25th, 2020, and I just ran down here with my camcorder because, as you can probably hear behind me, there's some audible howling and whooping noises that are going on And it's been going on for a couple hours now. Probably around midnight or 1 o'clock last night, I started hearing these loud...
After hearing another burst of howling, he rushes to check his trail cameras. The camera's shaky movement reveals his unease. I haven't checked these in days with the weather, but his voice trails off as he approaches the first camera, his hands trembling slightly as he retrieves the SD card. He stares down at the trap area. The apples are gone, and... His eyes widen as he bends down, inspecting the ground. Eggshells, what the hell? He mutters, his breath quickening. There's a sudden noise in the trees, a crack that sends him jumping back. He grabs the SD card, not wanting to waste time, and hurries towards the second camera. I need to get out of here. Something's out there.
I'm gonna check them real quick, and then I kind of just want to get out of here because I really don't know what we're dealing with right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab the 2 SD cards. I just heard it again. I think it's coming from that direction over there where we have the other trail camera, and that's where the mountain is.
The air is thick with tension. As he pulls the second SD card from the trail cam, a low guttural growl echoes through the forest. His eyes widen in terror. Did you hear that? That wasn't a bear, that wasn't a coyote. The growl ripples through the silence, deep and unsettling.
I think I heard a knock that time too. Alright, so I'm just gonna go. That was it again.
What the hell is that? A dark humanoid shape emerges from the trees. It doesn't look human. The figure seems another replies. The figure seemed to drop over the ridge just as their drone had previously captured a similar sighting in the same area. The gut feeling among the team is undeniable. Something is out there, moving across the frozen expanse, watching them from a distance. And then it happens again.
Fixed-wing drone.
Oh my God, it's moving.
Wow.
It's an ice cave. I mean, that could be a shelter.
Got that right.
The cave is deep and narrow, its walls smooth from years of glacial movement. A shiver runs down their spines as they consider the possibility that Bigfoot, if real, this is where it could be hiding, another team member states.
If Bigfoot is here, this is where it could be hiding.
As they step deeper inside, the walls seem to close in. The passage gets tighter, forcing them to move cautiously. Be careful, one of them warns. The last thing they want is to get trapped in an unstable ice cave. Then, an unsettling realization strikes them. Something has moved through here recently. The shifting ice means the cave could have formed quickly, but
Something must have come through here.
And an ice cave like this can form quickly and go on for miles.
could it have also served as a temporary refuge for something big? 3 weeks later, long after the team has packed up and left the field, they begin reviewing the massive amount of data they collected. Among their most promising findings is audio from sensitive omnidirectional microphones that Ronnie and Maria placed in the wilderness.
Do you remember those microphones that Ronnie and Maria placed? They were super sensitive omnidirectional microphones that are programmed to start recording whenever they pick up a sound. And we left them out there the entire time we were there. Needless to say, they picked up all kinds of sound.
Do you remember those microphones? One team member asks. The devices were programmed to record automatically whenever they detected a sound. Most of the audio contained natural noises, birds, small animals, and environmental sounds. But after hours of review, they uncover something that makes their hearts race. Take a listen to this.
You hear that?
I think that's a Bigfoot speaking.
A deep guttural vocalization echoes through the recording. It's unlike anything they've heard before. The sound is neither human nor animal, and the chilling realization sets in, this could be the voice of Bigfoot itself. You hear that? Someone asks, their voice tinged with disbelief. The sound is haunting, unexplainable. Could this finally be the proof they've been searching for? So what do you think? Is Bigfoot real, or is it still just a legend lurking in the shadows? Let us know in the comments. Les Stroud embarks on yet another journey, this time deep into the wilderness of Alberta. Unlike a typical mission, this quest is one of understanding, a puzzle waiting to be solved. He isn't searching for treasure but for answers, seeking to piece together fragments of a mystery that has long fascinated many.
Here I am again, out in the middle of Alberta, on a mission. Actually, it's not so much of a mission as it is a quest.
The eerie atmosphere settles in as he ventures further into the woods.
Well, actually, where I'm walking is exactly where last year we had wood knocks and movement, and at the time we thought that it may very well have been 3 Sasquatch that have come in.
A familiar unease creeps over him, recalling the previous year's unsettling encounters. Wood knocks and distant movements had hinted at the presence of something or someone watching from the darkness. Now, in the pitch-black night, he treads carefully, the sounds of the forest amplifying his growing tension. Every rustle of the leaves, every shift in the shadows, heightens his awareness. It is the kind of quiet that speaks volumes, as if the wilderness itself is waiting for something to happen.
The fact is, we've got indentations in the ground that look, suspiciously humanoid, large, heavy, toe holes. What's fascinating to me is this particular track has what I would describe as almost like a gap between the big toe and the rest of the toes, which is exactly what I saw back at base camp.
As he moves through the dense terrain, he stumbles upon a peculiar sight. Indentations in the soft ground, suspiciously humanoid. The impressions are large, with deep toe holes that separate distinctly from the rest, almost as if they belong to an unknown creature.
The same thing. It seemed like it was a splayed sort of toe situation. So who knows? Family trait, maybe the same individual, maybe the same individual getting a little bit bigger in life. Who knows?
He recalls seeing similar markings at base camp, making him wonder, could it be the same individual, now grown larger? The crushed berries nearby suggest the passage of something immensely strong. The way the berries are pressed into the earth indicates considerable weight, far beyond that of a human. His mind races with the possibilities.
Look at the size of that thing. The amount of strength it would take to push a tree down that big is intense. Maybe the first one was put across in the first place. Maybe it was a keep out of here. Trapper doesn't notice it, just cuts on, keeps going through.
Further along the trail, a massive fallen tree commands his attention. The sheer force required to push it down is beyond human capability. It lies across the path, almost deliberately placed. He speculates on its purpose. Perhaps an intentional blockade? A warning to intruders? Maybe it was the work of a territorial creature, marking its domain in a way no human could ignore. The weight of the realization presses down on him. If something had indeed done this, it wasn't just passing through. it was making a statement.
The evidence in Todd's mind pointed to a much more military type of maneuver. And for the first time in my searching, I hear evidence of a sinister conspiracy unfolding. Todd finally opens up to me about what he thinks may have led to this area having all the Sasquatch activity brought to a halt. And it's a disturbing story.
In his search, he encounters Todd, who finally confides in him. Todd shares a disturbing tale, an unsettling pattern of tracks spaced precisely apart, almost too perfect to be natural. This revelation hints at something more deliberate, an organized presence moving through the landscape. If these tracks were real, it meant that whatever made them wasn't simply wandering. It had intent, a direction, a purpose. Could this be a migration pattern? A hunting route? The implications were chilling.
So the best thing here would be to find some hair, large hair, long hair. The scat that's here, it's a pretty large piece of poop for this little hole. And there's lots of little tiny bits of scat, but to have a big chunk like that, that's out of place.
The discoveries continue, each one adding another layer to the mystery. Hair and feces samples collected from the area might finally provide tangible proof of something elusive. As he carefully bags the evidence, his pulse quickens. These samples could be analyzed, tested against known species. Would they confirm his suspicions, or would science dismiss them as something ordinary?
As we were coming down the hill from the rock, I heard kind of like that, only a little bit lower in pitch, which, sure, could be anything.
Just as he prepares to leave, an all too familiar sound echoes through the tree, a deep, resonant noise that defies easy explanation. He freezes, his breath catching in his throat. He has heard this sound before, a noise that always leaves more questions than answers.
And I hear little sort of nuzzles of sound all up in that area. You never know.
The expedition continues, but now doubt begins to creep in. Each step, each discovery feels like a step closer to the truth, yet the truth itself remains elusive. Could it all be a trick of the mind, an elaborate hoax of nature? He wrestles with these questions, knowing that belief and skepticism must coexist in this journey. As he moves through the trees, he feels both the weight of expectation and the thrill of the unknown. The search for Sasquatch is not just about proving something exists. It is about understanding the world in a different way. It is about respecting the possibility that some mysteries are meant to remain unsolved, lingering in the twilight between reality and legend. But Stroud is not ready to walk away just yet. The answers may still be out there, waiting, hidden among the trees, just beyond the next ridge. Jonathan was no stranger to the deep, rugged forests of the western United States. With years of hiking and backpacking experience, he had ventured into some of the most mysterious Bigfoot hotspots across the region. But tonight, he was on a new adventure, taking his audience along for the ride, to explore the wild and unexplained. His mission was simple: gather evidence of the elusive creature known as Sasquatch.
Just talking, it's twilight, and at that time of night, everything starts to look grainy, in the woods especially.
I haven't heard a recording that sounds anything similar to this.
Just your eyes are switching from day to night, and I see a figure.
As twilight descended over the dense woods near Mount Rainier, the forest seemed to change. The transition from day to night made everything appear grainy, almost distorted, as though the landscape was slipping into another world. There was a strange energy in the air. Jonathan had heard many recordings of Sasquatch vocalizations, but none like this.
There's a lot of deadfall there.
Yeah.
He paused, squinting into the fading light. His eyes were adjusting to the darkness when, through the trees, he saw something. A figure, partially obscured by shadows. The sounds he had been recording seemed different in this area. The vocalizations were not just eerie, but strangely familiar, like echoes of something deeper within the forest. It was as if the land itself held the answers to a mystery long hidden. Continuing deeper into the woods, Jonathan and his team found themselves in a densely wooded area, littered with deadfall and thick brush. The ground was uneven and every step felt heavy, but Jonathan knew this was the kind of place where something significant could be found. This was where Sasquatch was rumored to roam, places few had dared to go.
Here's what a person looks like approximately 60 yards away at 2:30 in the morning.
Through the trees, a figure appeared, about 60 yards away. The flashlight beam revealed nothing definitive, but there was no mistaking it. A figure stood there, unmoving, in the dead of night. Was it a person? Or something far more mysterious? The team carefully examined the area, spotting strange prints along the forest floor. There was an urgency in the air, a feeling of being watched. Jonathan was familiar with the signs. This wasn't the first time he had encountered something like this. The trackway led them to a spot where Damon had recorded unusual overnight audio. Every crack of a branch or rustle of leaves heightened their senses, as if the forest was holding its breath. Jonathan knew this area well. Just west of Mount Rainier, the Brown family had been experiencing Sasquatch activity on their property for some time. Their stories mirrored many of the strange encounters that Jonathan had heard about over the years. The creatures seemed to be drawn to this part of the forest, their vocalizations echoing through the trees, as if calling to each other.
Other, what is described as singing vocalizations that have been captured throughout the Cascades.
One particular sound caught their attention, a haunting, almost feminine singing voice. It was unlike anything they had ever heard, almost otherworldly. The singing sounded similar to other Sasquatch vocalizations reported throughout the Cascades, but it was much clearer, more distinct. The team was stunned. This wasn't just an animal noise. This was something deliberate, something intelligent. As they pressed on, they came across a peculiar sight.
Through his thermal imager, he saw a figure standing. And from what he describes, it went down, kind of on its stomach. It started doing like a swimming motion on the ground, almost like if it's trying to bury itself in the debris around it.
One of the team members described seeing the creature move in a strange, almost unnatural way. Todd, standing, stood alone in front of the camera, the dim lighting casting shadows on his face. The air around him felt thick with tension, his eyes scanning the lens as if there were someone watching from just beyond the frame. He began with a low, serious tone, drawing his audience in. "This is it," he said, voice hushed, almost a whisper. "What we've discovered could change everything."
Good day, everybody. My name is Todd Stang. Thank you very much for tuning in to my Sasquatch Sunday video. So I've got still that major announcement for 2025 that's going to absolutely blow your mind.
Welcome to Sasquatch Sunday. You're about to see something that will make you question everything you thought you knew. Get ready, this is big. The forest behind him looked dense and mysterious, an eerie quiet settling in the air, as though the trees themselves were holding their breath. Todd turned his gaze from the camera and into the distance, as if recalling the long road that had led him to this moment. The search for Sasquatch isn't just a few days in the woods. It's more than that, much more. It's years of tracking, analyzing, and waiting, and after all this time, we might have something real, something tangible. We might have the proof we've all been waiting for. The camera cut to footage of the thick, mist-covered forest, the ground blanketed in fog. The low rustling of leaves added to the sense of unease. Something was lurking out there, and Todd knew it. He could feel it. The mood shifted as Todd spoke again, this time with a more urgent, intense edge. But none of this is possible without
it would take me 2 minutes to saw.
The clip started, and immediately the eerie sound of snapping trees echoed through the speakers. The crack was sudden and loud, followed by the rustling of something moving swiftly through the woods.
Look, that's bigger than me. Look at that, look at that, look at that, look at that, look at that. What in Jesus' name is doing this? Oh my God, he just took half the tree down.
"That's no bear, no moose," Todd said.
Something, oh my God, oh my God. I don't even think a bear would have a chance in Hades, and they're doing this.
Leaning closer to the camera, "This is something far stronger, far more elusive. This could be it, Sasquatch." The sound of snapping branches hung in the air, leaving a chill that crept up the spine. Todd knew that sound all too well. It was real. It was close. With a deep breath, Todd shifted to the big reveal. "But now, you're about to see the footage we've been keeping secret. It's raw, it's uncut, it could be the moment everything changes. He clicked a button on his remote and the screen flashed to life. The image was blurry, almost indistinguishable at first, but then, just beyond the tree line, a shadow moved. A massive figure, far taller than any human, slipping through the tree. The footage was shaky, but it was there. Todd held his breath. Was this the creature he'd been hunting for? The world had always called it a myth, a legend, but now it was right in front of them. You think you've seen it all? You're wrong. Todd's voice was a low murmur, filled with disbelief. This footage, this next clip, comes from Florida. Another sighting. It's quick, it's deliberate. But what is it? He clicked play, and the footage revealed another shadow moving through the trees. This time there was no question. It was bigger, faster, and more powerful than anything a human could be. The air felt thicker with each passing second as the figure vanished into the underbrush. Todd paused. Listen. Did you hear that? The sound of something heavy moving swiftly through the trees echoed through the footage, sending chills down anyone who was watching. The photograph, Todd said suddenly, his voice full of urgency. You've seen it online, the one that's been circulating. But is it real? Look at the hand, the proportions, the way it moves. Does this look like a man in a costume? Or is this the real deal? The photograph filled the screen, zooming in on the blurry figure, its massive hand reaching out, its eyes hidden in shadow. The viewer couldn't help but feel drawn into the mystery. Was it a hoax? Or had they finally caught Sasquatch on film? Todd exhaled slowly, staring into the camera. I don't know for sure, but we're closer than ever. This footage, Todd said, his voice barely above a whisper. This is it. This could be the proof we've all been waiting for. Watch carefully. What you're about to see, well, it could change everything. The camera zoomed in on a shadowy figure moving silently through the trees, its silhouette unmistakable. Todd's breath caught in his throat as the figure disappeared into the forest. This wasn't just a shadow, this was something real, something massive. Todd looked straight into the camera, his eyes intense. We're on the edge of something huge. Sasquatch isn't just a story anymore. It's a mystery that's waiting to be solved. But we can't do it alone. Share this video, subscribe, leave your thoughts in the comments. What do you think they've found here? Is this proof, or is it just another trick? Whether you believe in the paranormal or not, one thing is clear. Some things just can't be explained. Were these real encounters with the unknown, or is there a logical explanation waiting to be uncovered? Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you enjoy diving into the eerie and unexplained, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss a deep dive into the mysterious.